As the church choir finished singing one particular Christmas carol, the King of Prussia wiped a tear from his eye. Why, he had never heard a melody so simple and so pure. And the words, they were the words of a poet. The lyrics lingered in the king's mind, and he kept repeating them to himself. "It's the loveliest tune I've ever heard," the king whispered to the advisor at his side. "Who wrote it?" "We must have this musician in my court." "It's called a Tyrolean Christmas Carol, Your Majesty," the advisor said. "I've heard it sung here and there, but nobody seems to know who the musician is." "Well, tomorrow, I want you to send a declaration throughout the whole of Prussia commanding that this tune be sung at every Christmas concert this year," said the king. "And one more thing. Order my court musicians to discover who that composer is." So the Tyrolean Christmas Carol was performed throughout the kingdom. It spread to many lands and soon became popular among millions of people. Some time after that, a man appeared at the court of the King of Prussia. "I once heard of the king's declaration and his quest," he told the guard at the palace, "and I know who the composer of that Christmas carol is." "Follow me," said the guard. He led the man to the king's chambers. "Your Majesty," said the man, bowing, "I am here to tell you of my father, Franz Gruber, an organist at a church in Hallein. He composed your Christmas carol 36 years ago." The king leaned forward, his eyes wide with interest. "Go on," he said. The man paused a moment before continuing with his story. "It was late in the afternoon, just before Christmas of 1818, Father Joseph Moore, a pastor in the church of St. Nicholas in Obendorf, was asked to the home of a parishioner to bless his newborn baby. On his walk home through the snow on that cold, clear winter night, he could not help thinking about that baby and wondering whether the Christ child had been born on such a peaceful night too. And when he arrived home, Father Moore, who was a soulful man, wrote his impressions as a poem. A few days later, on Christmas Eve, Father Moore discovered that mice had eaten through the leather bellows of his church organ. And to make matters worse, the organ builder lived too far away to repair it in time for music to be played at the Christmas service. But the service simply had to have live music. Father Moore brought his poem to the choir master, who was my father, Franz Gruber, and Father took the poem, and in less than an hour, he wrote a melody to go along with the words. "Less than an hour?" the king asked. "Your father must be a very talented musician." He is. He's written many choir songs since then." "Well, I would like to hear them one day," said the king. "But first, finish your story." "Okay, so that Christmas Eve," the man went on, "accompanied by the quiet music of a guitar instead of the tuneful blasts of organ pipes, my father and the pastor performed the carol to the congregation. Well, people were enchanted. Even the children were silent. They never even noticed the lack of organ music during the service, and for days afterwards, people stopped my father on the street and asked him to teach them his new song. When the organ builder finally came, my father played the tune for him, and he liked it so much that he played it at his own church, and soon the Song from Heaven, as people started calling it at the time, spread to the churches in the surrounding villages. You could hear people humming it to themselves all through the year. You must be familiar with the rest of the story. Now, thanks to you, the song is sung in the most elegant cathedrals everywhere. My father is a very humble man, sire, and he's not looking for recognition. He wrote the song only to praise God and for no other reason. He heard of your declaration, but even then he refused to come forward. I respected his wishes for years. But I can't be quiet any longer. A son's pride reveals my father's name as the composer, and I want it next to that exquisite song, and here is his original composition sheet to prove the truth of what I speak. You are a really good and faithful son to give glory to your father like this, said the king. And now let it be known throughout the land that the author and composer are discovered. From now on, the name Franz Gruber and Joseph Moore are to appear under the song A Tyrolean Christmas Carol. And today, this song remains the most widely sung Christmas carol in the world, and we know it as Silent Night, or in Germany, Stille Nacht. See you tomorrow.